You're watching The HoneyDew with Ryan Sickler at your mom's house.
Welcome back to The HoneyDew, y'all. We're over here at Studio Jeans doing it at your mom's house. I'm Ryan Sickler. You can follow me on social media at Ryan Sickler. My website's ryansickler.com. Go over there, sign up for the email list. Also, just want to say thank you to everyone out there. All the messages, all the love. I appreciate everything. We're going to keep bringing the show. We're going to keep highlighting the lowlights. You ask all the time, what's the best way to help? The best way to help is to engage with the sponsors, and a lot of you are doing that, so thank you very much. That's how we can keep doing this thing. And the website for the show is thehoneydewpodcast.com. Go there. That's where you can get the merch, the links to social media for the HoneyDew, all that. So I always say, if you're new to the show, what we do here is we highlight the lowlights, okay? These are the stories behind the storytellers, and it's a pleasure to bring you today's guest. First time here on the HoneyDew. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rachael O'Brien. Welcome to the HoneyDew.
I'm clapping for myself.
You should.
What a narcissist.
You should clap. No, you clap for yourself, goddammit. Welcome to the show.
Thanks
Thank you for being
me.
here. Will you please, before we begin, plug anything you'd like?
Well, I'm guessing this is not going to come out by the time I do, but I'll say it anyways because I like to brag. November 7th, I'm headlining Punchline Philly. November 8th, 2 shows at the Queen Wilmington in Delaware. That's November 8th. So if it comes out before that, which probably not because that's next week. And then I got a podcast, Be Here for a While. So yeah, that's about it.
Great.
Yeah.
And your calendar is on your website.
Yeah,
and all that stuff?
RachelO'BrienComedy.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you had reached out and you sent a few really interesting things that I'm excited to talk to you about. But first, let's just start with the basics. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? What was that like?
Okay, cool. But I did reach out originally to have you on my podcast, too.
You did.
You're clearly very busy.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but
okay.
I want to do it. And
Okay.
I will. I'm saying I will do it.
Okay, good.
I'm going to do it.
Thanks.
Okay?
I just put you on the spot in front of
official.
everyone.
No problem.
Okay, so where I'm from a small town called Astoria, Oregon. It's the Goonies town. It's the only way anyone really knows it.
that.
Also Kindergarten Cop. We had that there. It was a big filming time.
Were you there did you live there during the filming of Goonies? Did
Yeah.
you get to go see any of it in town or?
No, I wasn't born for Goonies. I was in kindergarten when Kindergarten Cop was filmed at my school.
It was actually at your school?
Yeah, and so I got to be like a featured extra, but they cut my scene, so that's too bad. Like,
Is that for
like
real,
we got
though?
like paid for it. Like I'm like carried out by a firefighter.
You got your first taste
I
of
was
show
like,
business in
Jesus,
kindergarten, huh? The real way.
I was like, they didn't know talent.
We're gonna pay you, but
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
being in that guy.
You get a signed autograph from Arnold.
Kindergarten Cop, isn't that boys have a penis, girls have a vagina? Isn't that movie? Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and I
Yeah.
can't remember who else. So yeah, it was like a movie town a little bit, but that's like kind of all we had that was cool. Other than that, it was like the town like looks like when I go back, I'm like, it looks like it's still the 70s. Like even the cars parked there, it's like it hasn't evolved much, and it's like kind of a hick town. Like all my friends wore camouflage. Sometimes I did too.
There are rednecks everywhere.
Yeah.
People think there are just rednecks in the South.
Oh,
There are rednecks everywhere.
Oh yeah, and I feel like in
love
my town, people like developed a fake redneck accent. I'm like, you don't talk like that normally. Like,
I'm from South Oregon.
yeah, they're like,
What?
I'm a thrower in reverse. I'm like, you didn't say that just because you're hunting right now. Like it's not. But I mean, I kind of bought into it. Like I drove a lifted 4Runner.
You did?
Oh yeah, pretty dorky. But it was like it was just like real kind of good old boy. Like the activity on the weekends was looping, which is where you'd like put a case of beer in your truck and then you just drive around like a lake through logging roads. So it's like drinking and driving was basically
with a bunch of people in the back.
Yeah, so it was really safe,
We went to a group of us went to see. We were just talking about this too. We went to see AC/DC at the Capitol Center in DC, and we had a keg in the back of the car, and my friend had a 4Runner too, and there were about 4 or 5 of us in the back, and not ever even considering, like, what if somebody rear ends us and we have to get, even if they tapped us and we have to pull over, they're going to be like, hey, 6 kids in a keg just got out of the back of this
stuff the cans in your it's a keg.
Yeah. Stupid
Also
shit.
just dangerous too.
It just
like
amazes me that any human being gets past the age of like 17.
Yeah,
I think
especially
be the cap,
in
all the
small
dumb shit
towns
we've
too.
done. Yeah.
Well, but then again, I feel like rich kids in big cities, like they were doing coke and stuff. Like
Yeah, they
that
had the
wasn't
money.
big in my town. I mean, until I left, now everyone does heroin, but that's that came later. But
every city's got it now, though.
yeah, it's terrible. But like for the small per capita of my school, like
It's
all
bad.
like the good like athletes and stuff that I went to school with that had so much promise, like they're not dead, but they're still probably using.
Right.
But yeah, so it was just like kind of one of those hick towns. And my dad was a lumberjack or a logger. He owned a logging company, but he originally started like just being a logger and then worked his way up.
So when you say being a logger, was he the guys I see like just chainsawing these logs all day long, and like I see these videos of like sometimes the tree will fall the wrong way and all that shit.
My dad had an employee that he had to carry him out of the woods. Something bad like that happened. Like
Really?
It's considered in the top like 5 most dangerous jobs in the
I
world.
would think so, right?
Like when I was little, I remember like my dad was sawing into a tree, and I can't remember what it kicked back off of, but saw kicked back. Came chainsaw straight through his leg to the bone.
Fuck.
Yeah. But you'll hear a lot of these stories of my dad where like they put a cast on him and he was like, nah, I'm going to go back to work, cut the cast off, went back. Like where he just doesn't, he's like
He's
that
a fucking logger.
He's
a man.
He's a man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so that's what he did. But my mom, it's so weird because it's like I grew up in like this like kind of like hick place, but my mom is from like an Italian family. Like she's first generation from like, and
Oh, wow, okay.
And who knows how many of the stories are true? I mean, they are true. Like my great grandfather was a 4-star general, lived in the Quirinale Palace, and like fancy Italian shit. So my mom that wasn't
Italian
like raised
royalty.
there, but it's just sort of like what so that's the way she acts. Like even if we didn't have money when I was younger, but like it looked like we had money. Like she knows how to make things look like, so we were never really in that world, and she made my dad like my dad would have probably lived at his duck shack for the rest of his life if he didn't marry my mom.
He has a duck shack.
Yeah, he
Of
does.
course he
It's
does.
his little hunting place, So yeah, so
Did he build it? Does he also build?
yeah, I think he built it, but I'm sure other people helped him. He's not like real handy like that.
But they're cutting down these monsters.
They're huge. They're
They're
huge. There's a video that like from probably the 80s, I think, that someone put on a DVD for my dad, and there's a tree that it looks like it's like probably 10 feet in diameter maybe, and I'm like, I don't even know how they got through that. It's like they're just like
It's the
winding on
ones
it for like a while.
You see carved out where cars drive through and shit.
Yeah. Oh, what they used to do, there's a bunch of pictures of my dad growing up where they cut a wedge out of it. That's how you cut the tree down. So you cut a wedge out with the chainsaw, then you put these little orange pegs in. I can cut a tree down. And then you hammer it with an axe, and then it tips over. Well, there's that big wedge out of it for a while, and so they would go lay in it and take pictures, and I'm like, what if the wind caught it wrong? Yeah. Okay. But it was like, that's how they did it, just prove that they're manly, I guess.
Fuck.
Drink Rainier beer, I don't know. Yeah. So my dad, I just grew up with like and I was a tomboy. My dad used to call me Junior because he had 2 girls, and I was the only one willing to like hang.
Hilarious. You're Junior.
Well, I wasn't a cute kid. I mean, I had phases. I mean, there was a fat phase, and I was just weird. Like I look back at photos, and every other girl would be like in the ballet photo, like posing, and I would be like doing all this weird stuff, and it's like, calm down, Rachel.
What was your fat phase? What age were you?
That was like, I guess maybe like maybe 11 or 12 to like 15. But I didn't know I was fat. Like I thought I was gorgeous.
You know what?
I thought I should try out for a pageant.
But as you should think.
Like I've seen photos. I look back. I'm wearing skin tight leopard pants and like a tank top, and I'm like, Mom, why did you let me wear that? She's like, I thought you were pretty.
But do you look at it? You look at it now, and you say, "Oh, I was overweight for that."
I
age.
weighed almost 180 pounds, maybe 200. That's the last time I weighed myself. I was eating 2 plates of nachos minimum right when I got home from school. Like it was no denying it. But like I didn't know.
When did you realize that? Not looking back at it, but then did you realize like, okay, I should probably not do that?
Well, I think I like would realize like there was like a kid that was like really short. This kid came up to me and he's like, "Why do you wear such tight shirts when you're so fat?" And I'm like, "Why are you so short, buddy?" I was like my response is like, I was just like, I don't care. I'm from a small town. My parents are fairly successful. I got great hair. lifted forerunner.
I could cut a tree down.
Yeah, like life's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then someone did put a Think Thin magnet on my locker, but I also remember looking that and
somebody did that.
But I remember not crying. I remember just being like, it's kind of a well-timed joke, and I probably know who did that. Like it didn't. Like I had so much fun just like laughing with my best friend and just being a weirdo that like it wasn't like I didn't go to a big enough high school where there was like a popular crowd, so it wasn't like, you know, the cheerleaders were like missing teeth probably in my school. Like it wasn't like, oh, I want to be that. It was like I'm just being a kid. But I think the first time I realized it is I probably just like looked at a magazine and was like, oh, that's what. Oh, they have a waistline. That's like that's got it. And then I toned down the nacho eating a little bit.
That's good that your mom supported it too. Like, never said anything to you about it.
No, and I think that's super healthy. Like, I'm glad they didn't. Like, I feel like the girls that grow up with like people telling them like you got to be this, like they're fucked up for life with that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, a friend of mine, he was telling his daughter. His daughter said to me, she goes, "He thinks I'm fat," and I was like, "No." And he's like, "I do not think you're fat. I just don't think you're as active as you should be. You should be," is what he said to her. And then I would catch her throughout the day, like checking her shirt, like making sure. Aww. And I was like, "Oh," so I told him, I was like, "She's definitely thinking about it. So you might want to just."
I think there's just
put her in a fucking sport and don't say something about it.
Yeah, I think
like,
that's
we're
my
playing
mom,
soccer, guys.
Yeah, like my mom used to go for runs and she'd ask me to go with her, and I'd make it about a quarter mile before I was like, I think I have asthma. She's like,
my nachos gonna get soggy. I'll see you back at the house.
I layered those perfectly. I can't let them go to waste. I also used to make individual sized bowls of cookie dough.
Okay, so do you ever look back on that and think why you were eating like that? Was there something going on? Was it, you know what I mean?
Probably.
Like you ever look back at that? Because I have an unhealthy relationship with food. I will eat when I'm happy, sad, to celebrate, like just whatever, bored. I just eat. It's that comfort thing. You know?
Well, I mean, I like love food now. It's like all I think about. Like when I'm on vacation, I'm like, I don't need to see a monument. Like, where's the best seafood restaurant? Tell me, where's the good happy hour?
About
like
hiking your mountain.
Yeah.
Where can I go get some good crabs?
I mean, I do like hiking, but back then, probably because that was when my dad got sick. And also during that time, I do remember also having like maybe like 6 months when he was really sick where I think I had like little kid OCD where I would like count things. I would think it was just like a weird coping mechanism that I just grew out of. Like,
I did that too. I would count by threes.
Me too. I was threes and 11s.
Because of the remotes, I would slide my thumb up and down the remote and it was 3, 3, 3, and I started counting by threes.
That's really weird. I was threes too. But then I don't know why 11s.
You would go by 11s?
I think 11 was my sports number, so then I would go like, okay, 3 and then a multiple of 3 and 11 is 33. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. But so then when I was like, so I'd have been like 12, I guess. I just know my dad was 39 because my dad is 4 months younger than my mom. And
he's a very strong, sturdy, healthy 39.
Athletic. Yeah. I mean, he'll say he's 6 foot. He's maybe 5'10", 5'11".
I feel him though.
Yeah, he says there's a misprint in the newspaper from his high school. I'm like, okay. But yeah, just athletic. I mean, my dad's a really good looking guy too. He looks a little bit like almost a better looking version of like Jim Morrison or like I'm trying to think with Jeff Bridges, although no one agrees with me about Jeff Bridges. But anyways, he was just super healthy. And the first time we started to notice it, like looking back on this tape at my mom's 40th birthday, so he'd been 39. So my dad and I should have been the one like getting tired. That's when I was fat. And we're dancing to Freebird, which you know is the longest song ever.
Forever.
15 minutes, like, you know, you can't, I couldn't. I mean, I was doing fine, but you start to notice in this video, like he's, like, it's weird. He's like, he looks visibly tired towards the end of this like home video when he's dancing. And like we watched that later after we'd found out he was sick, but like kind of, I guess that's when he started to maybe see it. And then all of a sudden he just, like he went from being 39, handsome, strong, all that, to looking like he was 60 or 70. Like,
and how quickly?
I honestly can't remember. I want to say within a few months. Maybe 60 and 70, not in a he just like, he deteriorated so quickly. Like, you know, this like fatty part of your hand right here, that was completely gone. Like he started like picking things up like this, like his symptoms, well, they thought he had Lou Gehrig's disease or ALS.
I have a friend, I was going to ask, because a friend of mine, his dad did pass from that, and it was so fast. It was a few months, and he was a jogger. He was a runner, super healthy, good eater.
So did he pass in a few months, or just deteriorated in a few months?
He deteriorated in a few months, and then stayed around. I stayed around, but he was not himself. I mean, he was here for another year or two, maybe, and then he passed away.
So that makes a lot of sense, because that's what they diagnosed him as. But here's the thing: my parents are very protective of me and my sister. No joke, they told us that he had carpal tunnel.
Nuh-uh.
Swear to God. Because they didn't want us to, because my mom didn't believe he was dying.
So she was like, you don't know what you're talking about? Or she was like, fuck that, we're going to will this another way.
To the doctor?
Yeah.
So it was fuck that. And my dad was like, fuck that too. But probably my mom helped him.
They say you have ALS.
So they go to the Mayo Clinic. They actually went there 3 times, because first of all, they couldn't figure out what it was at first. So then they go out to the Mayo Clinic. Some doctor out there tells them that he has got ALS and he's got 6 months to live. And my mom was like, my husband's not fucking dying.
Yeah, that's
And the
what I'm
doctor also
about.
told my dad, well, you're also never going to run a saw again. And I guess, I don't know if my dad said it to the doctor afterwards. He's like, I'm going to come back there with a saw and cut his wood desk apart. Like, fuck that guy.
I got one in my truck right now, motherfucker. I can use my feet.
Yeah, exactly. So she was just like, no, I don't believe that's what it is. It was either like, it wasn't what it was. But had she not been like that, a lot of people would just accept that diagnosis. So then
what do you do? Where did they go next for the second opinion?
I can't remember if like the third visit to the Mayo Clinic, or it was a visit to OHSU, a hospital in Oregon. Awesome doctor who he's still with, Dr. Petrunin, who found it. But they ended up figuring out that it was a really rare form of cancer called Waldenstrom's disease that most men get like later in their life, in like their 70s, and then they usually die of it. Well, and it's like so rare. It's like 200 people get it a year or something crazy. But my dad
mostly attacks men in their later years. But your dad's 39, 40.
So that's why he survived. So they were like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, so he got it young, and they were like, and probably just, science had, gotten better. So then they were just basically like, we're going to give you chemo. And he almost miraculously, it felt like, got better.
Not to put you on the spot, maybe you know, maybe you don't know. I've never heard of this. So what sort of cancer is this? What is it?
It's a cancer of the blood. So it's it's like that. But it looks so similar to Lou Gehrig's disease. Like, he was so bad, like he would stand up and then like fall over.
Whoa.
But he was really funny about it. He would say, like, I'd be like, Dad, you want me to go get that for you? He's like, no, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna do a backflip, land in the pike position. I'm like, you idiot. He had a really good. I think they just both had really good attitudes about it. But this whole time, my sister and I are in the dark. Like, we're just seeing our dad where we're like,
how old are you?
I'm like 12, then 13.
12, 13.
I didn't even find out my dad had cancer until I was at school. And this kid that, like, I think I went on a few dates with, and then he didn't end up liking me, like, leaned over. He's like, heard your dad's got cancer. I was like, cool. I thought it was carpal tunnel. That's news to me.
That's how you found out? Yeah. That's just like,
his mom was
and Santa Claus didn't really either. God damn, you hitting me with a lot today, man. Shit.
It's so ridiculous. But there's a part of the timeline too, though, where like my dad and I are very close, like to the point where when he was that sick, he also like, there was a lot of like, let's just pretend like things are okay sort of in my family.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to stop going to work. And so he,
how could he drive?
Well, that's where I'd come in at 14. So over the summer, we'd get in his truck, we'd pull out of the driveway. He'd be
What's his truck?
He was like a Dodge, like dually.
A dually?
Yeah.
So at 14?
Yeah. Down like tiny, windy logging roads, like just cliffs on each side. No driver's permit. Just, yeah. And I was a terrible driver up until I was about 22, too.
I mean, that's a big fucking truck to be driving at even 16, 17.
And those roads, there's literally semis coming down. You have to be on a CB and be like, I'm coming around like mile marker, whatever. So then they know to pull over, or you know to pull over. It's like, you're going to crash at any time. Anyways, so like we'd pull out of the driveway and then we'd switch seats, because when my dad would drive, he'd have to lift his leg up from gas to brake just to put it on there. So it was super dangerous. So yeah, I'd drive into the woods and I'd go walk the jobs for him.
Did your mom know you guys were doing this? No.
She just thought I was going to hang with him. So then he'd send me down in the woods and be like, what do the trees look like? I'm like, I don't know, this big. So yeah, we were really close. And then he confided in me, not my sister, even though I'm younger, eventually, that he was dying. This is before they figured out the whatever. So I'm like 12, and he used to get freezing because his nerves still hurt to this day, but he's fine. You would never know he was sick.
Oh, really? He just gets
chemo twice a year.
And he has full range of motion in his hands and he can drive and everything?
He's 100% fine.
Wow.
The other day
only because he got this cancer at a young age. So this would in your later years it would probably take you out. Yeah,
probably, and he was healthy, to begin with. I mean, he's so fine that he gets really tired and stuff.
Did he run a saw again?
Oh yeah, he still does. Did
he go tell that fucking doctor?
Probably.
I would have just been.
Is that doctor still alive?
In his doorway, just.
It's such a terrifying noise.
It is. There's a guy in the neighborhood for Halloween, and he's the asshole that always does the chainsaw without the chain.
Oh yeah.
But he scares kids that they run into the fucking road. They're running into the road where cars are coming by and shit. I'm like, hey, chill out with that fucking chainsaw.
Does he have his own kids?
Probably not.
Okay, that guy's also probably.
I've never had a conversation with this guy.
He's probably killed someone. The person's a creep. To scare little kids like that?
He scares the shit out of them.
Yeah, that's crazy. What was I saying? Oh yeah, did you ever go back? Oh, so my dad's so fine though to this day though. Like maybe a month ago, so you have to drive like 3 hours to like the nearest good hospital. He got his chemo in Salem, Oregon, literally IV in his arm. And then he wanted to drive his car to California because he's got a vacation home in Palm Springs. Literally, they unhooked the IV and he's like, drives 9 hours to Sacramento.
Himself?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. Drives 9 hours to Sacramento, stays the night, and then drives the next 9 hours, gets up at 4 a.m., and then the next day goes golfing. Like, he's fine. Or he just is in denial, but he's fine.
How old is he now?
61.
So just 20, a little over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And he does 2 sessions a year?
Yeah, and then he gets another thing called like IVIG. There's something that like filters out the blood. I don't know.
So why do you think, or do you know why he confided in you and not your sister?
My sister was much more emotional when we were kids. She was she had like hard teenage years. She'd like cry a lot. I was just pretty stable. Like I didn't even cry when my dad. So he would go out to his shop outside and sit by a fire because it would get so cold and like he couldn't even turn the heat up hot enough in our house. And he didn't want to make us hot. And so I remember going out there one night and I remember telling me, like, I am probably going to die or this isn't looking good.
Whoa.
And you
sat down and had that conversation?
Yeah, and I did not cry when he told me that. Like, I could cry more about it now. I did not cry at that age. And
Is it because you didn't believe it?
No, I think it was just like, I think when you're a kid, sometimes you almost have more strength because you don't maybe know what's going on. Or it's like, okay, like, and you don't want to make him sad. And like, he got to, in the conversation, he was like, I want to be, we had a cemetery like half mile away. He's like, I want to be buried there so I can stop in and visit you guys from time to time. And I was like, okay, great. I want the old Irish blessing on your gravestone. Your dad's going to sing Danny Boy. We got this. Like, super Irish. And I didn't cry. I didn't cry until I went back in my room that night. And then I, started crying. Yeah. But it's like, I feel like if he said that to me now, maybe I think I'd be more emotional.
Have you ever talked to him about, do you remember that time you said this to me?
Oh, yeah.
And what does he say?
Oh, he remembers.
So so there was some doubt for him or some concern at a moment.
Oh, yeah. There was priests that told him to make plans. Like, they came in and like, he was dying. It was just like, they just kept trying to figure out like, this isn't what it is. This isn't what it is. And like at the final hour, basically, they got lucky or just didn't give up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. My mom's a badass for, and me and my sister and I's lives like really didn't, while it was scary, like it's not like our whole world fell apart, Mm-hmm. It was like, all right, our dad just looks different and he doesn't feel good and, he's still laughing. And
how's he look now?
Fine.
Does he look like he ever went through anything? Does that make sense when I'm asking? Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Does he have his full range of motion or nothing's a little...
No, he's got like big like paw hands just from like holding a saw all the time. But like, I kind of have those hands too. No reason for that. Softball mitt hands. Not really. He's got a full head of gray hair and he's had that young, but that also like runs in his family sort of. Like, I don't know. Compared to my mom who looks really young, maybe he looks older, but not really. He's just kind of a badass. Like maybe 6 years ago, he had a tire blowout and his truck flipped off of like, if you've ever been to Oregon, it's like basically our highways have cliffs on each side. Flipped like 4 or 5 times or something off of a cliff, lands. He's just got a bloody head. He gets out of the car. There's a woman screaming down below. He gets out of the car and he tells her to calm down. He's like, calm down. He's just, I don't know.
What?
It's just a weird man that's like just cheated dead.
He flipped
flipped
and
his
rolled?
car completely totaled. Like
I've
seen
was
photos
it one
of
of those dually trucks?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be a
It's
violent
not a dually.
fucking
Dually's the
flip.
2 wheels. It's an extra cab.
Yeah.
So it's not 2 wheels in the back. Okay, extra cab. Yeah.
But still, that's a monster truck that has to be flipping violently. I mean, he's probably not going slow on those roads.
Yeah, no, probably not. But he walked out of it. He didn't even go to the hospital.
And
There's something wrong with him. He might not be
There
real.
is something wrong with him, for real.
Yeah, no, I guess
At the minimum, I'm like, I want a concussion test. Bring that fucking tent over here, put me in it right now, and give me that exam, goddammit.
It's ridiculous.
So I would want everything checked. He's like, I'm fine.
He's
and
like,
this lady's screaming for him.
And he goes, calm down.
He's like, shut up, bitch. I'm fine.
Who wants to go golfing?
Unbelievable.
I'm
trying to make my tea time.
It's true.
Good God.
Yeah, he's a badass.
So after he beat this cancer, did he go back to work?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah,
Doing what he did, or did he have to shift into like some kind of supervisor role where you don't go out there? And
he already owned the company, so he was already like, he didn't have to fall trees all the time anymore. I mean, he still does it sometimes just to prove it to himself he can. But I mean, he was still working during it. He obviously wasn't falling trees, but he was, or I was driving him into the woods, or someone was. And so yeah, he basically just went back to kind of where he was before. You know, just like checking. He still has to hike into the woods and check all that, and sometimes fall trees. So yeah.
Did he drive 18-wheelers and shit too?
No, that's a whole separate thing. There's a whole separate thing. Like, my dad just owns like the falling part of the company, so that's not even the people that like process it or have the trucks. I mean, there's huge companies
they're
that do.
just the only part is they take the trees
out,
down,
yeah.
and then it goes off to a whole nother company.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
My brother, he'll do shit like he runs an auto recycling business, so it's a junkyard, and they crush out cars. And he'll send me pictures where he brings the 18-wheeler home with a load of crushed cars and chain holding them all down and parks it right out front. And he's like, my neighbors are so pissed.
Jesus.
And it just makes me laugh. He's out there taking pictures of it and sends it to me. I just wondered if your dad ever pulled up with like a whole fucking haul of logs.
I just met a truck driver in this like 500-person town in a bar in Colorado. I happened to be visiting there, and this truck driver, I was like, I have such like a diarrhea of the mouth, and like I listen to so much true crime. I just want to be like, is everyone pedophiles that you run with? And I was like, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. And I just started to like ask him all these weird questions in a roundabout way.
Is that a big thing among truckers?
Have you not seen To Catch a Predator?
I have.
There's a lot of serial killers that were
episodes.
also like truck drivers, and that's how they would. God, you gotta listen to My Favorite Murder. Karen.
I do listen to enough of it, but
right.
I didn't know that was a thing among truckers.
Oh yeah. Now,
I thought it was
now you
more
lost
just-
all your truck driver listeners. Sorry.
I thought it was more of the ladies of the night for the truckers, not the,
Well, I think
not
it's
the
a
kids
combo.
of the night. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I think it probably is more ladies of the night, but I remember like several episodes of To Catch a Predator where they'd roll up like they were truck drivers.
Now you can get away, I guess, too. You're always on the road somewhere else. Yeah.
You would never know. There was
now,
like
now
a lot
well,
of
now
serial
though,
killers.
you're GPS tracked. Like especially if you work, you can't like back in the day they'd do a little speed and go all the way through the night. You can't do that shit anymore. They can GPS
I was gonna say,
track
I'm pretty
where
sure they
you
probably
are.
still do speed.
They probably do, but
Yeah.
they're only allowed to do speed for a few short runs. You know, it's just now you're just doing the
Well,
speed.
the long
to do
haul,
the
I'm
speed.
sure it's encouraged. They're just handing it to him at the truck stop. So yeah, so he's fine now.
That's a great story.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
And you're super close still and everything. You
Oh
go
yeah,
see
my
him all
dad
the
and I
time?
go to concerts. My dad and I have seen like every classic rock concert probably together of anyone that's still alive. Like we go and we have a blast.
What's the last one you saw most
I
recently?
think it was Bad Company and Sammy Hagar? No. Who was the other? Not Eddie Van Halen. I can't remember the other one right now. Maybe it was Sammy Hagar. Yeah.
Where do you go?
Well, that one was just happened to be like in Palm Springs at like some golf tournament. A lot of things are revolved around
Okay.
golf. It was like he goes golf tournament. These guys played. They played at 5 p.m. by the way, which is such an old. Like these guys are getting real old that it's a 5 p.m. concert on a golf course.
Oh, the concert's
Oh yeah.
at 5
Oh yeah.
p.m.
No, I was like, are you sure it's not a typo?
5 o'clock, guys. Before dinner. Right before dinner.
I've seen Rod Stewart in concert and he will barely stand up. He's just sort of like, I'm rich now. I don't have to do this. And if he doesn't feel like singing, he just puts the microphone out to the audience, you know?
You're just there to see Sir Rod.
Yeah, I guess so.
So you also had sent a story about a situation you experience in your adult life, which I have not known anyone to experience it in their adult life. So
either have I, and for no reason really.
Will you share whatever you're comfortable sharing about that?
I mean, I'm fine with it. It's just, and now I'm like kind of happy that I have the story in a weird way, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like most people, like even like female friends that I've had, and like mostly female friends, even in the comedy world, like for some reason, like that no one ever thinks bad things happen to me. So like even if like I told them the full story of my dad, they'd be like, yeah, well, he didn't die and everything's easy for you anyways. Like I have one of that, something about that about me where it's like, I don't know, and I'm fine with that, but like I think that now I have street cred. So I don't mind.
Like
now.
Before, people were like, fuck her, it always works out for her.
Yeah,
like,
it's like now I got street cred. I've seen shit now. It's my Vietnam. So what happened was, it's kind of hard to explain because I did not really know what happened until after I got out. It was like I was just like in a dream. I was like, what is happening? And then after I got out, I put the pieces together as I would talk to more people. So I'm going to say this and then I'll go back, talk to more people and find out like what this girl did to then scare my parents and involve people. So basically like winter of 2018, grandma died. She was old. It's okay. Like, but maybe I was a little bit sad about that. And then maybe I was like in the wrong relationship, but like no more sad than like normal people get when things happen. And I've never had a substance abuse problem. I like to drink. I'm Irish, but I'm like also not a partier. Like I like to be in bed by 10 p.m. Like even just like that, it's like my problem is I like to fall asleep. Like, so it's like I can't even, you know. So just a little backstory on that in case there's going to be any confusion. At this point now I would know how to do drugs because of the rehab I went to. So, okay. So basically what happened is I was intervened on. I went twice because I didn't understand the first time what was happening. And then, so at first my mom is just acting weird towards me. She's very worried. It was the first year that I started booking my own shows, and like I would open for people on the road, but this was the first time it was like, I'm headlining my own shows on the road, and my mom in her head is probably just thinking like, my daughter's on the road by herself, like horrible things are gonna happen.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, to be perfectly honest though, in the comedy world, like I have not had any like horrible experiences with like any, like girls have been more mean to me than guys have. So
you mean fans or comedians?
Comedians.
Yeah, I think the comedians are fine.
Yeah.
It's the lunatic fans out there that you
most
gotta
of my
watch
fans
out
are girls
for.
Though, for the most part. So it's like, what can they do, really?
Y'all can be crazy.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, actually, I guess the story does stem from someone doing something. So my mom. So then she's just always like telling me, she's like watching my Instagram and being like, you look tired there. What's going on? Just like, and I start to feel like, what the hell is going on? And then when I was doing like a show, I was doing New Jersey, Boston, then back to New York for shows. My mom tells my dad to fly out there and just be with me. I'm like, okay. But I don't know, like, there's something like brewing underneath. I also don't know that someone that was working for me was calling my parents, calling my podcast network, calling friends. I'll tell you about later. So okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
basically, that seed's being planted.
It's being planted, like,
and that's why your
like
mom's
Rachel's
reacting.
so yeah, like Rachel's
but you don't know that.
No idea. So I'm
okay.
just like, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. So then my aunt, my mom's sister, is like a counselor, and so she either calls me or I call her because I was like, my mom's freaking out. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is stressful. And my mom had flown. I'm back in LA. My mom had flown down to see me, and
at no point when they come to see you, they say, well, your assistant or whoever called.
No, they never mention that. Never mention that. Like, it is later that I find out how much that girl was calling, like, out of nowhere. Like, just
all right.
Yeah.
So I'll hold my questions.
No, you can ask them. It's just it's hard for me to tell in the sense of, because it is so bizarre.
It's like Memento right now.
It's bizarre. Yeah. I didn't see Memento.
They tell the story in like reverse.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Keep asking questions.
It bounces around a little bit, from what I remember.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
ask
so
questions,
your
so
mom
it's linear.
comes to visit.
So she comes to visit, and
it's a little remarkable that not one person has said, well, I mean, you're fucking whoever's calling the shit out of us. They never say that, or else that would have stopped it all right there.
Probably, yeah. That was what was weird too, was no one was talking to me. And it was probably that this girl, because she would say things like, I would get an email from my podcast network, and this girl would say, she said that you need some time off for 3 weeks because like you're tired or you're traveling. I'm like, no, I needed 1 day off from doing that ad because I lost my voice. Like, what is, like, just weird shit like that, because she was working with me. So yeah, if someone had told me, I'd have been, I would have probably. So my mom's there, and then my aunt comes down. I'm thinking my aunt's coming to like deal with my mom because she's just kind of like stressing me out. And so I go and meet them in a hotel room where my mom was staying, and there is another counselor there.
What?
A lady there. And
so it's your aunt who is a counselor as well, you said? Your mom and an additional counselor.
Well, it was a family interventionist is what then I find out.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like an intervention. But it's just the three of them in the room.
Yes. So the first time. So
oh, my God.
So then this lady asks them to leave the room, and then she like confides me. She's like, in all my years, I've never asked like family to leave the room. She's like, because I think you're really hurting because of your family. So she spins it to me originally that like your family's being too hard on you, but this is all a money-making business, by the way. Like, she's like, you're codependent, your mom's codependent on you, your mom needs to work on her codependency. Like, and then she's like, will you go somewhere? And I'm like, well, sure, but I didn't understand really. And so she
so they're fully aware that you're not on any substance. You're not.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that maybe. So I have no thyroid gland, and so I get tired a lot. I think maybe that girl maybe said like maybe she's on like prescription pills or something. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe that's why she's tired. I've never taken a prescription pill in my life except for when I got hand surgery.
So what was the intervention for? Like, what was their reason?
My parents did. No one said anything to me at that point. It was this lady saying, she like made it seem like there was something going on with my family dynamic, and this. It was weird. I don't know. So I don't think that they thought there was a substance abuse problem. I don't know. But, well, I know that they don't now, but I don't know initially I don't know what that girl was saying initially. I don't know because she was making up so I have no idea. But I literally never done drugs in my life, so.
But they felt the need to intervene and pull you into a hotel to tell you this, but they don't get into detail of what specifically.
Later in the second intervention, which was led by this girl, there was a letter. A letter read out loud to me from her, and here were the reasons. Your podcast downloads sometimes go down low. Your reviews like used to be better. It's like nothing has changed from then to now. Like, just cruel shit. Like, you're like just basically like. You're not being as good as you could be as a person. And I'm sitting around a fucking room with that girl who has her own set of problems, two reality star friends who, Kristen wouldn't care if I said this, probably showed up drunk to pick me up, to drive me to this fucking thing. My poor parents are sobbing. One friend that's like a total user is just like putting boxes of like putting the to-go food that my dad had ordered for everyone in a box, just like laughing along. I'm like in the Twilight Zone looking at these people, and this girl is leading this whole
hitting
thing.
You a podcast stats.
Yeah, it was like podcast stats. I'm like, dude, the podcast.
Listen, man, your Georgia numbers are down. Okay, we really need to do something in the South.
Fucking God. And the other reason was, we all think it's very concerning that you like to walk a lot of places or you walk everywhere. Yeah, that's
exercise.
Good. Yeah, that's good for mental health.
And I did learn that
was confirmed later at milestones that they were like, no, that's really healthy. That's great that you do that. That's why I call it bullying, because it was like, imagine just being told things about you that there shouldn't be anything wrong, but they're like. So. And the other two, the reality show friends, were like, you're always tired and you never want to go out. It's not a reason to
have an intervention.
Yeah.
All right. So how long between the first? So what happens after the first intervention?
Okay, so I go there.
Somewhere, or you?
I go. I don't know. She just takes me, and I guess before you go,
you just say, "I'll agree to go with you."
Yeah, I was like, well, I guess this will be an adventure. It's like my mom. I love my mom so much. I just don't want her to be sad, and I'm like, and it's the same thing that happened the second time. I'm like, if this is what makes them think, if I need to go somewhere for these people to be like, your daughter's fine, she's allowed to be a comedian on the road. And also like it was a great way to weed out bad people. Like I was like, I guess I have to do this. It was sort of like a weird calling of sorts.
It's like a whole group of people are in on a mind fuck.
Yeah. And the stuff I found out later that this girl was saying. So I would ask my friends afterwards, the ones that were my real friends, not the girl that met me as a fan at a comedy show, started working for me, is a fan of Vanderpump Rules, and now worked her way into working for the entire group of, it's basic science. It's weird. Like, it's like it's a weird.
All right. So you leave, we'll come back to her because we got to talk about her, but so where do you go?
So, so the first place I go is you have to go to a detox facility before, and they have no way of knowing that, I don't, and there has to be a bed ready.
Do you pee in a cup or anything when you get there?
Oh, they give you no full body cavity check.
Nuh-uh.
And I was like, at that point, I was like, I'm just making jokes. I'm like, I didn't shove a needle up my vagina.
Yeah,
it's like this is like.
But you have zero substance in your
my
system.
body. Well, I'd gone to a barbecue the night before, so maybe I had like nothing though. I'm not detoxing from anything, so I'm just laying. I mean, my mom got me like the nicest room, but I'm laying in a freaking hospital bed in like. Without, they take all your things away from you. I mean, I just got to watch TV for a day, but...
Any chance you saw the reality shows that your friends were on?
Oh, God, no. Fuck that. I watched some old movies, but I literally was like, the whole time I was thinking to myself, I'm like, first of all, aren't these kind of things expensive? And I was like, I mean, my parents are successful, but I was like, did they like, what is going on? Am I from a different... Like, I was just so confused that like, I mean, obviously insurance pays for it, but I was just like, what the fuck?
I'm confused. I'm right there with you right now.
Yeah. So then after there's a bed ready at the place, they drive me through the canyons to this cool fancy place called Milestones of Malibu.
So how long were you in detox? Just a day? Because
I was there. Well, I was there for a day and a half because there wasn't a bed ready the second day. So I had to just sleep overnight and like whatever. They drive me to the place. It's beautiful. I ended up loving it later, but I get there and I check in and they're like taking, just basic things because people there that are there, like some of them are cutters and stuff, which now I understand, but I'm like, why are you taking, I'm trying to think like nail clippers or something. Like now I realize that it's in case someone steals it from you. They take everything from you. And then I'm like checking in and they're like, okay, so you'll be here for 30 days. I was like, sorry, what? No. And they were like, well, that's the program, but you're allowed to leave at any time. And I'm like, all right, I'll think about it. And so I don't stay there right that second. I was like, I have to return the lease in on my car. That was like a big deal. I was like, I don't want to get charged for that. I was like, I'll come back in 2 days after I handle that and either get a new car or just turn that in. So I come back 2 days later and I stay for 12 days. I had it in my contract. I was still allowed to work. Guess how embarrassing this is. Tell me how surreal this would be. I was on a show at the Improv. The only person I could remember on it besides myself was Judd Apatow. Obviously, I want to be cool and, impress him. Not that he would talk to me, but it's like a surreal moment of like, okay, I'm on a show I'm proud of. My freaking sober coach has to drive me there. I have to pretend like she's my aunt to everyone. Like,
and she was okay with that though?
She didn't care, but like I'm literally like leave Malibu, like go to the Improv. Like if I actually had substance abuse problems or depression, like severe, like I listened to your episode with Dave Anthony. Like if I was, my sadness never was to the point where he planned to like bought a hose for the, like,
he was gonna do it.
Yeah, like I maybe just cried and slept sometimes, but still, sometimes I got up at 5 a.m. and work. Like, just
you weren't suicidal.
No, I was excited about my future. Whatever. So after like 12 days, it was, and I'm there with like mostly like really rich young kids who I'm thinking I'm actively losing jobs right now, and I don't have a trust fund, and like I don't need to be here, and now I'm just getting irritated. So I left after 12 days. Cool. I think nothing's wrong. That girl things are still weird, but I don't totally notice.
Okay. So you don't, so now let me ask you this. While you're in rehab and everywhere else, what is your interaction with this girl that's working for you? Is she still texting?
Well, I don't get a phone in there. So I just got to go to my one show at the Improv. I think I got to record one podcast or something, or I forget, or at least the ads report. I can't remember. I don't know what her involvement was the first time in terms of my business, but the second time she had told my parents, I'll handle everything. Everything's going to be fine. I was fired from everything while I was there. So clearly she wasn't.
You were?
Oh, yeah.
What did you get fired from? My
podcast network dropped me because I found out that it's interesting. So, so clearly she wasn't handling anything. So then the second time I walk into a room.
Where are you home?
It's at the Sofitel. My parents had gotten like a conference room there. I walk in there again, picked up by like, I love Kristen. She wouldn't care if I said this. She's fucking chain smoking, like probably hungover. Like they're paid to party for a living, like, and paid to like fight with each other. Like there's a reason why I'm not on the show. Like, I'm too boring for the show. So the people that actively do some of the craziest things on national television are also late to pick me up. So they pick me up.
Right.
They like drive me. I walk into the room and I don't know. I just thought I was meeting with the interventionist lady because, you know, it was because my mom was still worried about me because that girl was still planting seeds. So I think it's just me, my friends, and my mom and this lady. So I walk in the room. It's that girl, them, my sister, my dad, my mom.
Oh, wow.
And
everybody.
some other like scummy friend that's a fan or whatever. And of my reality show friends. A lot of it was people that wanted to be around the proximity to those people. It's nuts. So I walk in, I'm like, gang's all here, because I was shocked. I was like, cool, sit down. Then
so that's immediately you know what's happening again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I just knew in that moment, like, there's no way I'm going to get out of this situation unless I do this, and I do it for the full 30 days, and then I'll get answers.
But again, what is it this time that they're telling you need this break from? That laundry list?
That nice letter.
You're too tired. Your
Kristen
numbers aren't
said
good.
you're always tired. Stassi was just like, what was it? I don't even know. Just like
you don't want to go out,
or you're acting different, or just like, or you just seem different, or you seem tired, or something like.
But why not a therapist instead of?
Yeah, there's it took a bit of a jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I probably would have gone to therapy, but like
so do you go away again a second time?
So I go away again a second time.
You didn't say no.
I knew, and the interventionist kind of told me, like, she basically was like, I know there's nothing wrong with you, basically, pretty much, but you're not getting out of this unless you do something.
But I need this $1,500.
Yes, it's so true.
Girl, come on, just.
Yeah, seriously. And actually, it did cost $1,500 for her to drive me to the fucking improv show. I had no idea. Yes, I found that out later. My poor parents. No, it is a money-making scam. And she wasn't that good at it either, because the second detox facility.
Got a ticket, drive me to the improv.
Yeah, the second detox facility I had to go to was an all men's house. She fucked it up. So I get dropped off.
What? Nah.
It's not even a hospital. I get dropped off.
Sounds like a frat house.
It was like a dirty, I mean, it was like a California style home, but it was like, I mean, there's people coming off drugs, puking on the ground. It's a house. And she didn't realize I was being dropped off into the all men's house. So my poor dad is in the car with us. We walk in. It's like $600 for me to stay there for the night, to do nothing. Blew a 0-0, nothing in my system.
Did.
Yeah, I don't. What do you think?
Shouldn't they be able to release you right then and there?
I told that to, like, I've told this story to like Dr. Drew before, like, not on his podcast. I just saw him at a party. He was like, a lot of this seems kind of illegal too. Like,
it sounds fishy as fuck.
Yeah. So, but whatever, I have to stay there, and there's no locks on the doors. They eventually moved me to a women's house, but
how long were you in the men's house?
Just for one night, until the bed was ready, until I was cleared.
It's always that damn bed gotta be ready.
But there was literally, like, there was a kid that just got dropped off, like, coming off of meth, just like walking around, like, going like this, just like walking around. I've never seen anyone on meth just talking to himself. Like, he was hilarious though. He was like, they were like, "Can you sit down, Daniel?" And he's like, "I just want to enjoy this last high." So it was like fairly entertaining. And then he would come running.
Can my 30 start tomorrow? Because I'm on one right now.
And then he came running down the stairs at one point. He's like, "There's some good shit written on the wall up here." Like, and I walked up, and it was like these like scribbled handwriting from people, just like, you know, live, laugh, love, like people that were high still in there. There's a firefighter coming off of heroin, like puking on the ground, moaning. It was very, very sad and very, very jarring. But they were like, those ladies weren't even handling it correctly. They were just sort of like the women that ran the house. And I was like, well, I should help them out with something. I'm just bored. So I was like, "Do you want me to help cook dinner?" And they were like, "No, we got boboli on the way." I was like, "I think I could make something better. Like, you don't need to make boboli after you just picked up his puke, and now you're going to put your hands in that."
On
like
people's pizza.
Yeah. So, I hung out there for about 6 hours before they moved me to the women's house. Played some board games with some kids that finally told me about what fentanyl was. I was like, "Why would you do that?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "What are you in for?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm a comedian. My parents don't like that necessarily." And
apparently I don't like to go out, and I'm too tired.
Yeah, I don't know.
And my podcast numbers are suffering in the southeast region of this goddamn country.
It's so true. Those were literally her words. She was like, "People used to give you all 5-star reviews, and sometimes now there's bad ones." I'm like, "That's how podcasting works.
That's how the internet works."
Why did they kick me when I'm down?
I love you, but this episode sucks.
That's so ridiculous. So then I went again. I actually met some of my best friends the second time. Stayed for the 30 days. Got this cool hypnotherapy stuff. My parents and I got some like, therapy together, like counseling. That was helpful.
Nice.
Yeah.
In the hypnotherapy, did you discover anything you didn't know?
No, it was more just like, they'd make you go back to like your childhood and like whatever. And, probably like when I was little, I think figuring out like, hence why like my dad, they would tell me more stuff than my older sister, like a lot more was maybe put on me, but nothing bad. Like I didn't have any, trauma. Like, I mean, my dad's stuff was trauma, but that had been kind of worked out. Honestly, like going to these facilities was the most trauma I've ever had in my life. Like there was a period of like 4 months after I got, maybe 6, could be even 6 months after I got out. So only until like the winter of last year where I was so confused and so hurt and so like if they thought I was depressed before, I was actually probably depressed afterwards because I was like
the second after you got out the 30
just
days?
after I got out because I just didn't, because when I was in there they basically like Joey the hypnotherapist said to my face, "You're one of the most healthy, well-adjusted people I've ever met." Like
you're like, "Look, man, I'm just here for the French toast."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Y'all make bomb ass breakfast.
Sure, that was really good, and I loved going to AA meetings with other people. That was fun. And
but you have nothing to share or volunteer?
Yeah, no, they would just go around. I mean, I'd be like, I don't know, my family thinks I'm depressed. And
I reasonably drank 2 beers at a barbecue before I got here, so.
So sorry. I mean, the crazy stories. I mean, that was a cool experience though, where you like there'd be a normal looking girl at an AA meeting, and she'd be like, I'm just so happy I'm sober because now I don't wake up and think, did I rob someone or shoot at someone? I'm like, Jesus Christ, like. The stories are insane.
All right, so now let's talk about the machine behind all this fucking madness.
Okay. So I leave, and I still think like, I would say what broke me about it was I knew there was nothing wrong with me. My parents and I figured that out. We did all the good therapy of like, okay, my mom can't watch my Instagram story and tell me like, you seem sad because you're not wearing dresses anymore. I'm like, I'm a fucking comedian. Like, knock it off. She just is very into image. So we worked all that out, but I was still very confused amongst my like friend group. And so then I would just, I'd ask Kristen, like we'd be hanging out. I'd say, well, Kristen, why did you think there was something so wrong with me? And then she was like, well, you were always tired. And then she said, and when that girl told me you couldn't pay your bills, I really got worried. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, she said she saw your bank statements and you couldn't pay your bills. I'm like, well, that's not true at all. She didn't even have passwords for that. Like, that's not true at all. Also,
or did she have the passwords? She was just making that up. She wasn't stealing from you too.
She had my passwords while I was at Milestones because she told my parents she was but it's still not true. I mean, I had some credit card debt, but who doesn't? And no, like
it's healthy to carry some debt.
What?
It's healthy to carry some debt.
I was like, at that point I still had like somewhat of a side job, a podcast, and I was on the road. I was making actually very good money. Like there was no, she completely made it up. Then I found out
this whole group of people, not one person said, oh, fucking whatever her name is over here told me this until after the second. That is amazing.
No, because I think also about a lot of it too is like they all have their own lives. And I think that like we weren't hanging out like all the time. And so, but that girl knew how to insert herself into things. So she would just feed people information. So, and like what they tell to me now is they just assume like, well, she says she's the closest person to you. So we just believed her.
I see.
So it's like that. And so like my parents don't live here. So they're calling her or she's calling them.
So yeah, you said she called so many times. Like how many times? What was she info?
So she later, I mean, she actually admitted most of this to me. And I would be like, why did you do it? She's like, I don't know. I felt out of control of myself. And I'm like, okay. I don't talk to her anymore. I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. But she would say to me, your mom was calling me. And other people would say, like, that's not true. She'd be over to one of my friend's house, help them with their website or something. And she would just randomly pick up the phone and call my mom and be like, well, this is why I thought Rachel was weird yesterday. And like, fucking like, I mean, the person that used to do my sound for my podcast or still does, like, he told me later, because we ended up writing a script about this. We got closer about it, but he ended up telling me later, yeah, she called me once when you toured the studio I was at, and after you left, and just was like, did you notice anything weird about Rachel? Like, did you think, like, when you're planting that many seeds in people's head, it's like, well, of course they're gonna, be like, well, maybe it was weird that she decided to walk to lunch instead of drive, or, just like little things. It's like, so... It's fascinating.
So when did you confront her? Like when did you finally have all this information to have a face-to-face
I had like
with her?
half of it back in the winter.
But half of it sounds like enough of it.
a lot of more stuff I found out later. And then once I found out more, I just don't talk to her anymore. But now,
like what else? What other things were you finding out?
That she went into my podcast network because I didn't even get to tell them I was leaving. So she handled all that. So she went in.
Hey guys, if anybody ever comes in here on my behalf, don't listen to what they fucking have to say.
If anyone as an adult is calling your parents, and if you're not like saying you're going to commit suicide, or you're on the street doing drugs, or you're sleeping with hundreds of people, that like, if you're not exhibiting dangerous behavior, you don't call someone's parents as an adult.
No.
Like, that's insane.
That is insane.
So yeah, she walked into my podcast network to like tell them I had to go on a hiatus, and was like,
and were you in the rehab facility?
Yeah,
at the
but
time?
I didn't find that out until, because I was still friendly with some of the people there, and we went and had drinks like months later, and he out of the blue was like, hey, I just wanted to tell you I'm really sorry for an email I sent you. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I sent you an email about like kind of criticizing the way you did an ad read, and when that girl, hopefully I haven't said her name, when she walked into the office to tell us you were taking time off because you were troubled or something, that she told me that she used my email to let you know that you were really not doing a good job. And he goes, I wasn't that big of a deal to me. Like that kind of shit, where just even, supposed to protect someone, not walk into their network and be like, she's going away, and you were totally right about the thing you said about her there. Like,
so when do you confront her?
I did, but I just don't really speak to her. She's now a full-time assistant to one of my friends.
But doesn't your friend know what you went through?
She doesn't know all the details because she doesn't really speak to me much anymore either.
Oh man,
because she got busy and stuff. But I think also has a lot to do with this person.
But you never had a face-to-face with her, or called her out?
Yeah, I did.
And what happened?
Basically, she just said
excuses.
Yeah, she basically just said like, yeah, I said those things, and she just said she didn't know why. And then she said she was sorry, and then she said she goes, the only thing that really bothers me that you said to me afterwards is that you think that I used you to get to other people. I was like, well, it seems like you did. I was like, sorry to hurt your feelings about that, but
yeah,
seems to have worked. You literally did it. I was the first person you met. I hired you, and now you sent me away, and now
sabotaged all my shit, and now you're working for somebody else. I know. And you don't think you should send her an email or anything and be like, yo, just
I'd like to maybe sue her. No,
I'm not going to. I'm
joking.
Your friend. Like, hey, you shouldn't work with this person.
She knows. She knows. I mean, it's not up to me anymore. I don't really. I mean, if she knows enough and still works with her. So.
Do you have a restraining order or anything like that on her?
No, because I have to see her at functions and things now. Like it is what it is. Like it's
that.
I don't think she cared.
I would not be able to see somebody that was responsible for putting me into unnecessary rehab twice.
Yeah.
Plus ruining my.
Well, I'm with a better network. I'm with someone I like that I work better with. I mean, actually, everything did get better for me. And to be perfectly honest, like she wasn't helpful in my life, like helping in terms of like my, career stuff. Like she was definitely like a gatekeeper in a bad way. Mm-hmm. I did honestly, things have gotten 100 times better, and I'm happy about it. So I don't know, like the advice my parents give me is like, just hold your head up high, like that kind of thing. So it's not worth it. I'm just going to talk about it on a podcast because that's that's real mature.
But you see her often, or fuck, what is that like? Does your blood boil?
It's at this point, it's like comically cruel that it kind of makes me laugh a little bit. And I just find it like, it worked in the sense of like, okay, well, cool. Now you get to be someone's assistant, like good for you. But like, you didn't take me down. So.
Right.
And I made some wonderful friends.
You put me away for about 45 days.
Yeah. but I mean.
Best sleep and French toast I've ever had.
It actually was nice. Yeah. Yoga, sound baths.
That does sound nice.
Yeah, but they don't let you do anything. I used to make jokes to them. I'm like, let's just say if I just sprinted off into the woods, will you have to chase me? Or
what will they do?
They were like, Rachel, please don't joke with us like
we'll
that.
Send the dogs. We'll send the dogs.
No, but they knew. I mean, I literally left with a sheet of paper that said like, sometimes she has like general anxiety. Like,
I can't like. I'm with Dr. Drew on that. That shit, I'm not a doctor by any means, and that shit sounds completely illegal.
Yeah, I mean, not the facility I was at. I just think like a lot of the things like you got to check that you don't just, because if I was like a less strong person. I think think about if anyone even just, let's say that you didn't even go away. Let's just say you were in a room and all your friends confront you and they're like, we don't really like what's happening with you right now. We don't like certain things. You'd be like, well, is there something wrong with me? Let alone having to go through like tests and things and like just to determine. It's like, it always casts a little shadow of your doubt and like, am I crazy? I mean, I'm not, but like it doesn't,
What are your anxieties?
I'm a perfectionist for sure. I just want to be really successful, and that's kind of all I think about.
It drives you and motivates you.
Yeah.
And that's it. Focus.
So that can be like kind of unhealthy. I don't like watch TV really or anything. I just think about, ways to be. So that but I mean, I learned a lot of good coping skills from this. Not that I didn't have that many
like
before.
What?
Meditating. It's okay to go out and walk and run.
Yeah.
I started doing it before, but that kind of thing. And just like, I mean, the hypnotherapy guy, this Joey guy, Joey Tabanella, the way he like can reframe something when you are like bummed about something is like completely life-changing. Like,
so hypnotherapy, do they put you, they hypnotize you, or is it like
they do like it's not like bark like a dog type of thing, and he doesn't always actually hypnotize you.
Is it like that Twilight kind of feeling where you're just about to fall asleep?
Yeah, you're in it but out of it, and he can kind of do it just in conversation. So like I can go back every Sunday now for alumni day for free therapy, which I just go to because I like it, and it's everyone's cool.
You just sit and talk. Is it group therapy?
Yeah, it's group, and and everyone that's there. I mean, I love people that have gone through shit. Like that's why I'm kind of proud of it.
That's why
like,
I do this fucking show.
It's
I love it.
It's they're the most interesting people. I'd rather be friends with people like that than half the people I knew before. Like, because they're interesting and they're not hiding in shame. Like it's out there.
Yeah, they're honest.
Yes, they're just better people. But yeah, so group therapy. So he can do like, it's not even hypnotizing. It's just the way he talks to you while you're doing your therapy. It does almost feel like a little bit of hypnosis. But he's just teaching you, like, he'll even have you, which isn't hypnotherapy, but like if you have an experience or a person or something that is just really bothering you, he can make you sort of visualize. He'll have you visualize like making them small. Just like if you just even kind of do that. And then he's like, now just step over that person. Imagine they're like an ant. And then just do that. And he's like, now is it really that big of a deal?
Right.
Or I'll say like drain the color out of it, or,
I like that. Drain the color out of it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of red when you're angry and shit.
Yeah, totally.
Wow, that's a great story. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Me. Yeah, this is great.
Sorry if it was a little roundabout.
No,
but
I understand now why you told it that way, because that's how you discovered it. You then went back to put the pieces together, be like, oh, this bitch is the one that's fueled all this madness. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's all, I mean, it's all good now. Now I got street cred. I could join a gang. Or
I don't know about that.
The options are endless.
Let's stay away from the gangs here at your mom's house. I don't know if you know about that's all I'm going to say. So.
Oh, shit.
Will you please, one more time, anything you'd like to promote, your links, your social media, all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. You can find tickets to my shows at RachaelO'BrienComedy.com, and Rachel spelled Rachael. And then my social media is just Rachael N. O'Brien. It reads like Rachel No Bryan. And my podcast, Be Here for a While.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. As always, I'm RyanSickler.com. Ryan Sickler on all social media. Talk to you all next week.